All right. Okay, great. Do we get a count on how many viewers on? Hi everyone, just waiting for a few more people to join up and we'll be going soon. Thanks for being patient. Hi everyone, welcome to the first CUBE webinar for CUBE version 5.0. I'm Satyen Kothari, I'm the founder and the CEO, and we're going to have, we probably have 3 or 4 different types of people in the audience. One is people who are new to CUBE, second category is people who have used CUBE builds before. Third is people who have tried out CUBE version 5 already, and we'll talk about some of the new features. And then some people who run their own businesses, which is the SME product set that we have. Anytime you have questions, feel free to comment right below in the YouTube chat window. We'll address them at the end. So let's start with some basics about why we started building CUBE, right? So this is a personal problem statement that at least I had with my money. I found that while I worked hard in the day at my job, to actually manage money every weekend was a big chore, and I had to do it via multiple mediums, right? There were bills to be paid, there was some budgeting to be done around vacations or big expenses coming up, and then there was, of course, the constant gnawing kind of thought saying, am I doing enough to create wealth for my future? And there were service providers which kind of did one or more of these, and especially your bank where your money typically sits claimed to do all of it, and there was always a RM who said, I'll help you do all of it. But very quickly, with experience, I realized that this was not as easy as it sounded, and the RM had his own agenda about what he was supposed to sell that quarter. So then I started being a self-service guy, and I started going to Money Control to learn about finances. And if any of you have been to Money Control, you know what I mean. It's super confusing. There are over 8,000 options just in mutual fund variations that you can pick on. And that was still only solving part of the problem. So we said, let's step back from this and say, how does somebody ideally want to manage money if there was no institution like a bank or a robo-advisor or a mutual fund distributor? What was the right way that money should flow through in your life, right? And for that, we said, really, when you divide it up, your money actually in everybody's life flows through a couple of transitions, what we call buckets, right? The first bucket is the money you need now. This is the money you need for paying your bills, paying your rent, your EMI. You might need it for spending, going out with friends. It's the now kind of bucket. The second bucket is the money you need and ideally you should be having for a rainy day, an emergency, which is good financial advice that you should have about 2-3 months worth of money kept somewhere that can be accessible anytime in case you're transitioning between jobs or a big expense, unexpected expense comes up. And most of us don't do this, or we do it too much by just leaving it in the bank, which is not a great way to ensure you get great returns. The third bucket is the budgeting goals bucket, right? Where you have a summer holiday coming up with your friends or with your family and you have to budget a certain amount of money, right? It's 2 lakhs, 5 lakhs. What do? We just leave the money in the bank account till that vacation comes up and it's earning some trivial 3-4%. And then the fourth bucket is probably the most exciting but yet the most complicated bucket, which is how do I make my money work harder for me to make me richer, create wealth. And here you have wealth classes like mutual funds. Of course, you can buy equities, you can buy real estate, you can buy cryptocurrency, the kind of the craze that's going on right now. But each of these is a complicated domain in itself. You don't know where to go, who to trust, how to buy these transactions, what's the right asset allocation. So this is the problem statement that we recognize as a team that all of us are facing. And if you're a business, you're facing this. If you're a small business, you're facing this similar problem, saying I have money in my current account, I have bills to pay, payroll to pay. I started the business and the focus of the business is earning revenues, not managing my bank account. So whether you're an individual or a business, the problem statement is quite similar. So how does Cube solve this? I said the best way we want to solve this is to create a system where all of us have complete control over our money, but we don't want to really put in the hard work to manage it. At the same time, we constantly get guidance from people we trust who like doing the research and saying what is the right place to park different aspects of this money. And that's really the version of Cube that all of you have been invited to today as beta users. And it's a very small select group that we want feedback from after you try the system. So how Cube does this is it's simple. Once you sign up, we do initial KYC, we take an initial amount of money just to make sure that you're in the system. And then we do a boot camp process. In the boot camp, every day you get one email which says, hey, take care of your bills today and set up a few bills. The next day it could be take care of your house staff salaries, which we can take care of as well. Third day is, hey, how much you want to put in your emergency fund, which we can calculate, and you have insight into how we do that. And then it's settings around different mutual funds, for example, where we've divided 8,000 odd options into very simple 5 categories, right? Which is effectively the zero risk, the conservative, the moderate, the aggressive, and international. And we've broken this down and picked some amazing funds, either 1 or 2 in each of these categories. So you can quickly look at the returns, the risk, and say which one you're comfortable with. And you just set a percentage setting on where you want to allocate your money on an ongoing basis. Once you do this 7-day bootcamp setup, you're done. That's it. Then the Cube magic takes over, as we call it. Once a week on a Sunday morning, you get an email from us saying, hey, it's time to take care of your money. And when you tap that email, you go into the app. The app starts filling the same 4 buckets that we identified in the problem. First, we ask you and we say, hey, how much do you have in your bank balance right now? So we can do some smart math. We'll come to that, how we use that number. And we made it very easy on Android to automatically get the bank balance. On iOS also, it's relatively easy. You tap a button, we send a SMS to your bank, you read the amount that comes back and just type it in. Once you do that, we say, okay, these are the bills that are due in the next 10 days. It could be your Tata Power bill, it could be your maid's salary. And we say, these are the amounts, can you approve them? Some of these amounts are what you've set, for example, your maid's salary. Some of them we are getting directly from the provider. So we've done integrations, about 15 integrations with different partners. One of them is a bill payment system. So we get billing data from over 100 providers for your particular account, which you set up during the bootcamp. So for Tata Power, it'll say, hey, your bill amount is 3,267. If you're okay with the amounts we show in the now screen, due now screen, you just say, okay, that's it, tap one button. The next screen says, you set some goals, like your summer vacation, and this is how much you've saved for that goal. Can we allocate some money towards these goals, as well as your emergency fund? If you want to allocate all the money, you just say, okay. Again, if you don't want to because you say, okay, and before summer vacation, I'll get funds at the last minute, my bonus is coming in, that's okay, you can tweak the numbers. Again, full control in your hands. But if you're okay with the smart defaults, you just say okay, okay twice now. Third screen, it calculates from your bank balance what's left over after paying the bills that are due now, salaries due now, towards saving for your goals, and minusing the amount of emergency money cash that you always want in your bank account, which also Cube lets you control, and says, okay, this is the amount you have left for wealth options. And based on your default settings about your risk level in your mutual funds, this is how we're going to allocate them. Again, if you like it, you just say, okay, that's it. 3 OK clicks and all aspects of your money are managed. We take you to the payment gateway for one quick transaction approval, and we take the entire money for all these things and we allocate it in different buckets and send it onwards to different providers. So your bill payments would get paid directly with Tata Power, your maid would get paid directly into a bank account. For your savings goal, we park that into liquid funds to earn you about 6.5% to 7% compared to your bank. So until the summer vacation to Paris is due, you actually will earn almost double the interest, free money to spend in Paris. And for the remainder money which goes to a mutual fund, we take it, we send it through Bombay Stock Exchange into all the direct fund houses, and the money stays in your name throughout all of this. So 3 clicks, you've managed all aspects of your money. I think, and we really think it's that simple, and we'd love for you to try it and give us feedback about whether we are hitting that simplicity and convenience goal. So what we've also introduced is additional asset classes now, and I'll talk about that in a bit, but let me first show you the quick UI of how the system works so you get a little demo of it, right? So think about whichever bank account you're using today and whether you use net banking for that, and just imagine the user experience and the user interface you have today, right? Whether it's a HDFC, Axis, etc. And now be ready to compare it to how Cube simplifies this. So what you're seeing is the opening screen of Cube now. And the opening screen, you just see a simple thing that says it's a name, how much amount you have in the bank, what rate of return it's doing. And I'm just swiping with my finger and showing you how quickly I can see the balance. I can see how much impact I've done via charity inside Cube, how much time I've saved paying bills automatically via Cube, what is my return from the better bank proposition which earns twice the interest of a regular bank. This is as simple as it gets. How do you set it up? You go into settings and you can say automate, and under automate you'll see how we've helped set up everything from wealth to staff salaries to big expenses, bills. So if you go to wealth, you can see a very simple categorization of how much you can get in better bank and what funds we put it in, how much you get in conservative, moderate, aggressive, China, US. If I want to start changing my default portfolio, I want to be aggressive, I tap the aggressive button. I say, hey, I want 50% in aggressive, right? And I want to put, let's say, I believe in the China story, I want to put 50% in that. Great. And I effectively make my conservative 0. And at the end, I just say, okay, your preferences have been saved. That's as simple as that. If I want to pay staff salaries, I can look at what options I have there. I can see that I want to pay one of my staff members, Daryalal, and how much is okay, how much I paid in the last time when the next one is due. Similarly, for bills, I can see my Vodafone bill, my American Express bill, my Tata Power bill, all are okay. So I have assurance saying I paid all of these, nothing is late, and Cube is getting all those amounts as well as paying them. And in all of this, what we're doing is we are saying we're constantly managing the money. So if you see manage money this week, the Sunday flow that we spoke about, you can get via SMS. Right now, let me just enter the quick amount. I have this much in the bank. Okay, let's change that a little bit. I have this much in the bank. It tells me, hey, Satyen, you have 2 Vodafone bills due. Do you want to approve them? Sure. No choice, pay them. Then it says, okay, future expenses. You have your emergency fund, 2x monthly. I'm saving for my birthday and I'm saving for a trip to Koh Samui. That says for all these goals, I've allocated this much, right? Once I say okay, Cube then says, okay, you have a certain amount available as a surplus based on the wealth settings. This is how much I'm putting in aggressive. This is how much I'm putting in China. Are you okay with this? The moment I say okay, that's it. I go to the payment gateway and Cube asks me to quickly make this payment. Oops, we are running into a small bug here, but it would summarize everything and say, hey, this is the amount you're paying across all these categories. Are you okay with it, right? It's as simple. It takes 4 taps to handle that. And anytime you log in, you can see how much you have in the bank, what rate of return it's doing. If you want to go into details, we have a screen called Cube Magic, where you can see how much is going everywhere. What's my emergency money, annual expense in the piggy bank? And then by wealth being created, what's the profit percent and how I'm doing? If there's any money flowing in deposits or withdrawals, you can do that as well. The beauty of this is we want you to keep all your money in the Cube account because it's accessible anytime. You can set up your emergency. If you ever want money, we have a feature called Cube ATM where in a few minutes, the money shows up in your bank account directly from Cube, anything you've left in our Reliance fund. And as you walk into the ATM itself, you can punch in money. I have 42,000 available right now. I enter how much I want moved to my bank account. Cube sends it over literally in about 30 seconds fastest and maybe 3 minutes to 5 minutes on the slower side. So before you even start driving to the ATM, you tap that and the money's in your account. You withdraw it using your Axis, HDFC, SBI card. At any time, you can add money manually. You can sell your investments. So I can see a simplified portfolio of how much money I have, what return it's giving me. And then I can see a simple transaction history. You know, one of the big frustrations we have is our bank statements are so opaque and impossible to read, right? Things get truncated. We've simplified even that, saying, hey, this is how much you added to this fund. It was successful. That's it. You scroll it down and it stays as simple as that level. Now, this is what we have today. We're very excited today because we have a new feature enhanced on the wealth side. It's an equity advisory feature through a partner that we've done a lot of diligence with and picked from multitude of wealth management partners out there. This is a firm called Purnartha that handles over 3,000 crores of wealth for ultra high net worth individuals. And we are very excited that we can now provide this service for much smaller ticket sizes. So all you need as a minimum is either 10 lakhs commitment, which can be done as a one lump sum payment, or it can be done as a SIP. The beauty of Purnartha is they focus on long-term wealth creation. This is not an option for you if you want quick returns, you're playing in futures, options, trading stocks quickly in and out based on tips. Purnartha has a proven team which has worked out of Wall Street, studied out of Carnegie Mellon, that says what are the fundamentals of different stocks, how can we pick category winners that we can hold for a long, long time, and we can generate outstanding returns. I personally am a customer, and I've been a customer for about 2 years. I put in my first tranche of money 2 years back. That tranche has done about 110% in returns. The second tranche was put a year back. That's done about 52% in returns. And that by any metric is incredible when somebody is not being speculative, but is actually doing hardcore research training. And very excitingly, this is the long-term passive wealth creation because in the last year, literally, I've bought and sold one equity each inside my Purnartha portfolio, right? So you have your money working quietly, automatically to create you wealth without a broker or mutual fund guy constantly pestering you saying, buy this, sell this all the time. So this is a service we've introduced. If you're interested, please write to us. We're happy to guide you through that and send you the basic paperwork to get that going. We also have another feature in the app. If you go to the Wealth Guide 2018 guide, we speak and explain all the research we've done around a few other asset classes. One is crypto. Second is tax saving funds as we come towards the end of the year, financial year in March. Third is real estate. Fourth is international funds. Fifth is gold, right? And sixth is P2P lending, an emerging category in India. What do we do for all of these, right? So, for example, in crypto, we've evaluated the 15 exchanges in India. We've understood which are the best in terms of quality of service, in terms of highest liquidity, in terms of the best brokerage fees. Because all these are aspects that if each of us try and do individually, it gets really confusing. And we recommended one partner. Now, if you sign up for this service, we'll constantly give you ongoing advice. For example, right now the government of India is taking a hard look at crypto and trying to make up its mind whether they should allow it or no. So right now we would tell you to not invest in crypto just until the Indian regulator has a clear position on it. Tax saving funds, we have some recommendations. You should do quick calculations on how much you want to optimize in your taxes there. Real estate, something that's an Indian favorite, but it's super complicated because either you have to scout out properties or you have to save forever to buy your investment property, then you have to monitor it to collect rent, etc. What we've done is found a partner who actually has come up with a very unique model. The founder is an ex-BlackRock guy, and if anybody knows BlackRock, you'd know that it's literally the multi-billion-dollar company managing real estate deals across the world. And what they've created is a fractional property ownership proposition where they identify the properties, they do all the legal paperwork. You can contribute as little as 5 lakhs to buy a share of that property, and they will collect the rent, and you'll keep getting the rent as regular income coming back, right? So you are safe, you don't do any of the work, and anytime you want to sell your share, it's relatively easy because in about 5-6 days, they have a marketplace where they can find you a buyer for your property as well. So new innovative ways around how to invest in real estate. Same thing for international funds, right? So if you believe in the NASDAQ story, if you believe in the China story, it's really hard in India to figure out how to participate in part of that. For that, we've come up with a structure where we've identified a couple of fund houses that have generated good returns that you can invest directly via Cube even today. So across all these categories, what we are doing is constantly simplifying, one, the knowledge you need, and once you are educated and you make some preferences, we will either make the transactions happen for you, or even if we can't make the transaction, the next feature we are building is a tracking tool. So inside Cube, you can easily track across all your asset classes how each one is doing in terms of percentage returns, as well as in terms of absolute returns. So you have one clean dashboard, and for anybody who's invested via 3-4 different options, you know how confusing the traditional system gets. You get paper statements, digital statements that you have to map into your head via Excel, or you just give up if you're like me and say, I don't know what my money is doing. So that's all part of what we want to solve around the wealth side. So recapping, what we do as Cube is very simple. We help fill your buckets in the right order of priority. First, all the money that you need now for your life essentials. We make sure that it's not sitting idle. It's always in a bank, in an instrument like a liquid fund that earns double the interest a bank gives you. And when the payment is due, we handle the entire payment once you approve it. Second, we save for an emergency fund for you. Again, instead of leaving it in your bank, we earn about 6.5–7% for it. Third bucket is your midterm budgeting goals like vacations, etc. We plan on how to gradually save for those, and depending on when the vacation is, we can optimize the returns. So it can be 6.5, but if the vacation is a little further out, we make sure there's no risk in your money and we can put it in something that earns 7.5 to 8%. And we've done all this research. And then the fourth bucket is the longer term, and across that we have all these varieties: mutual funds, Purnata for buying direct equity stock, crypto, real estate, fractional ownership, gold, international funds directly as well. So that's Cube. I invite all of you absolutely to try it out. Some of you haven't onboarded, you have the invite code. Please try it out. We'd love your feedback. We are really excited that we can make all of you richer. We can simplify your life, and that's an important aspect of our vision out here. I'm happy to take questions now. Please feel free to write on YouTube. We have one question. Um, Priyank asks, instead if of deciding what type of funds, low risk, aggressive, can Cube automatically decide based on my current wealth? Priyank, that's a great question. That is absolutely on the roadmap for what we are planning to do this quarter, which is building profiles for different types of users like yourself and saying if you fit into this profile, this is our recommended mix of where you should put in your money. Fundamentally, the decision is yours. Like any private banker, we can give you the information, but unlike typical private bankers, we'll also execute once you make a decision. So you still have full control, we'll give you the guidance. So watch out for that feature in the next 2 months. Any other questions? Yeah, and please feel free to email if you have questions. One of the other questions we faced is, how does the real estate fractional fund work? Well, the way it works is, for each entity you're buying, like an apartment or an office, all the people who are buying it form a SPV in the form of a LLP. So your percentage of ownership in that company is proportional to how much money you invested in that property. And that investment then keeps generating returns in the hands of the LLP, which come to you as rental income. And when the entire property is sold in 5 to 6 years, everybody gets their percentage share of profits. Through those 5 years, if you ever want to sell your share, it's a beautiful model, because once you find a buyer, all that you're doing is, instead of changing all the property papers, you're sharing the partners in that LLP structure. So very well thought out, very modern approach, instead of going and buying your own land or your own real estate investment. Any other questions? Well, one other question we have is, what about crypto, right? So, and crypto is definitely the hot topic of the moment. Our frank advice is, crypto is very interesting as an experiment about what could be done with the world of money and when it meets software and technology. But at this point, it's an experiment. You absolutely can consider participating in it in a small amount as soon as the Indian government is clear on regulations. But remember, it's not an investment at this point because nobody knows the fundamentals. Think of it as fun money that you're going out to a casino with, and you are happy whether you win or lose because it's the excitement of the ride. If you think about it that way, then there are definitely some good options on how you can participate in the crazy upside as well as the crazy downside swings of the crypto market. And the moment the Indian regulator is clear, we are happy to advise you that it's time to go back in with a certain percentage of your portfolio. Excellent. I think those are the questions for now. Happy to take more questions always on WhatsApp or email, and excited to see all of you on board and see what we can do. Oh wait, there's one more question on the SME side. So for SME, if you run a small company or you're in charge of finances in a small company, our value proposition is actually very simple, right? We don't really have to worry about all the 4 buckets. The core of it is, you have money sitting in the bank earning 0% interest in a current account. If you try and block FDs, you're constantly blocking FDs, breaking them when payroll is due, or short-term FDs that give you 3-4% at best. We are changing that by saying, how can you have Cube effectively take your money which is earning 0%, earn the same 6.5-7%. At the right time, we built a very simple portal where your CA can upload payroll details, vendor file payments, and on your smartphone, wherever you are in the world, you get, just before pay date, you get the same weekly alert. You tap into it, approve all the payroll, all the vendor payments, and removes the money from the liquid funds, brings it to your bank account so you can process it, and all your team members get paid on time while you're still earning more, and you don't have to log into some complicated banking system to do all these approvals on your desktop like your HDFC eNet system or a CRM system from any of the other banks. So as a business owner, again, I built this after facing this problem at Cube and at Citrus myself, saying all of this is too complicated and money is sitting there idle. So as an SME, please try it out. If you know any companies that have this cash flow problem, please recommend them to us. And definitely as individual users, let us make you more money. Thank you so much. Yeah.